Hello, and thank you for clicking on my channel. If you're new, my name is Ciara, and this is the channel where I pretty much do mostly paper crafting. However, in 2024, I really want to kind of add a different series to the channel for my own benefit and hopefully something you guys will enjoy as well. And I really wanted to start a bullet journal. So if you're asking yourself, what is a bullet journal? I'm going to pull it up on Wikipedia so I can tell you. So a bullet journal, sometimes known as a bujo, is a method of personal organization. It was originally developed by digital produce designer Ryder Carroll. And then it goes in to say this system organizes scheduling, reminders, to-do lists, brainstorming, and other organizational tasks into a single notebook. So the name bullet journal comes from the use of the abbreviated bullet points to log information. But it is also used because they are dot journals. So that's kind of the breakdown. Mostly it is for organization. However, you can make it as functional or as pretty or as, whatever you want because you are creating it. So I'm going to be using this dot journal right here. I'm probably going to not say this correctly, but I believe it's a Leuchtturm. I don't know if I said that right, but that is what I'm using. It is an A5 size journal. I felt like a slightly smaller size would be better for me just because this is my first journal. I am a beginner. I pretty much have no idea what I'm doing other than I've seen a whole bunch of videos. So this is pretty much a beginner version of bullet journaling, hopefully for other beginners or anybody who enjoys my content. Of course, I want you to come and hang out too. But the whole point is so that I can keep myself a bit more organized. I have, this last year, taken on some extra work outside of my own personal work and my job. And I found myself scrounging at the end and, not doing it in kind of a well laid out fashion. So then I would come to the due date and I would be scrounging to try to get things done. So I'm hoping with this that I will be more organized, be a little better at my time management, and kind of have fun with it and just have another fun creative outlet. So this is an A5 journal. It has a pocket. It comes with stickers, but I don't think we'll use them. It is dot grid, as the bujo kind of thing is. It's 80 GSM paper, which is actually a fairly lightweight paper. So we're gonna see how that goes, just because I tend to like to use a lot of inks and whatnot. So we're gonna see how the paper holds up. It cost me $28.99 Canadian, because I just bought it at our local, the Kohl's. So that's where I got it, but you can get them on Amazon in an array of colors. I chose this really pretty pink color, but you can, as I said, get it in tons and tons of colors. So that is what we're gonna do. I hope you'll stick around and check it out. We are going to kind of do this together and see how it goes, and I hope you enjoy this kind of different series on my channel and you come and hang out and work on your journal too. So let's jump in. Alright, so I actually drew this image that I wanted to be my 2024 title page in Procreate on my iPad. So now I'm just going to transfer it over. I chose to do it on a piece of white cardstock because I was worried that my Copic markers would bleed through the paper really badly. In hindsight, I probably could have used a different pen to do this. So this is just me adding some pencil to the back of it so that I can easily trace this onto that piece of cardstock that I'm going to add into the journal. Now guys, bear with me. This is a bit of a longer video. This is because I chose to put my 2024 and my January together in this video just because I am getting this up a bit later than I had hoped. So I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to watch all of this, you absolutely could. And then we were set up for January. So hopefully my February setup will be, a bit earlier than this. I struggled a little bit. I was a little bit overwhelmed and nervous about this. And you're going to see that I did do pencil layouts for everything. You're going to see me use, when you actually see me get into the spreads, I have a lot of pencil layouts because I didn't know what I was doing. So I watched a lot of bullet journaling videos. I looked on Pinterest. I looked on Instagram. I looked everywhere. And I kind of came up with what I wanted my journal to have in it. And it isn't the same as what a lot of people put in theirs, from what I can tell. Not that that really matters. And of course, Mist had to come and check out what I was doing because she, always has to make her presence known in my video. So I'm sorry, she's going to walk through here a few times and the camera's going to change where it's focused, but I like to leave this in because I know you guys like to see my cats. At least you do in my crafting videos, so I assume that you would here as well. And the beauty of a bullet journal, as far as I can tell, being super new to it, is that it's what you want it to be. So it literally can be anything, because you're in control of what spreads go in the journal. So with that, I didn't make habit trackers because I don't feel like that's something I need. I didn't do a financial planner style one because, again, I don't need help with budgeting and that kind of thing. It's more for my I don't know how to explain it. It's funny because as I was watching these videos that other amazing YouTube creators and whatnot were creating, my journal is just different. And I mean, not different in that it spreads nobody's ever seen before. I just mean it's different in that I created different layouts and I left out a lot of layouts that I've seen other people create. Because at the end of the day, it needs to be functional for you. So that means that it can be anything and everything you want it to be. So with that thought in mind, I did kind of really create this to be what I needed it to be, where I needed the organization, and then I left out anything else because I didn't feel like I needed it. So that's kind of where I went with that. I am using a gold Posca marker here just to kind of put the triangle back in. You saw in my image it was teal there. Here it's gold because I wanted it to be gold, and I'm going to use gold throughout the design in this journal. And I did not put the leaves in that you saw in my drawing. I originally thought I was going to. In the end, I chose not to. I didn't incorporate leaves anywhere in this design in the end, like in my journal. So I'm kind of glad that I left them off the cover page because I don't know if it would have made sense, just because I didn't use them anywhere else, right? And I kind of wanted my journal to make somewhat sense. Honestly, you guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. So bear with me as we work through this because I just really wanted to start. And I think that's one of the things is that if you wait until it's perfect, you're never going to do it because perfection is not possible. So I'm just going to jump in with both feet and just be happy with what I've created. And now, is this the best bullet journal out there? Absolutely not. There's no chance. However, is it the best bullet journal I've ever created? Absolutely. And I am really excited with how it turned out. So if you have any ideas or tips or tricks or thoughts on my video, thoughts on my editing, you let me know because at the end of the day, I'm new to this. I've been making videos for a while, but I'm very, very new to bullet journaling. So I'm more than happy to hear what you guys think. If you have any thoughts or any tips or tricks or, different things that work for you that maybe I could try, not spread wise so much. I mean, not changing what spreads I've actually made because, it needs to be functional for me. But if you know ways to make things easier or, just different, let me know because I'm 100% open to different ideas here. So there you saw me just fill it in. I used a black Copic marker. It was the 110 black for the coloring of the the numbers. And then I went in with the same gold Posca pen and just kind of added a little bit of a sparkle to the design in a couple of areas. I will come back later, like after we've almost set everything up, and I'm going to add some washi tape to this just because I felt that it looked a little bit bare. And honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do for decorations. You're going to see that I've set up the spreads when we jump into it with my pencil, like I've done the lines, and honestly the lines aren't even, they're not perfectly spaced. Like at the end of the day, this was really a trial and error situation for me, and I really wanted to give it a go and see how it turned out. And of course, for accountability, I'm going to create videos about it, and I hope you guys enjoy them and you come and hang out with me and we can journal together. But I've been meaning to start one of these journals for like 2 years, and I kept putting it off because it felt really overwhelming. And I was just like, well, you know, yeah, one day I'll do this, one day I'll do this. And then that day just never happened. So I'm making videos about it to hold myself accountable. And it kind of is fun that way too, because I do know that there are some wonderful people on my channel who come back and just hang out with me when I do videos, and hopefully you guys enjoy what I'm going to create here. That was adding a little bit of sparkle to the numbers. You can kind of see it there. I keep calling them numbers, or sorry, they are numbers. Oh guys, this is going to be a long day. I added some sparkle to those numbers, and then now I'm just going to adhere it into my journal. I did learn quite quickly that this journal, the paper was thin, and that was my concern going into this. Because I do tend to, like this piece of cardstock alone, the one that I'm right here, this is a piece of HammerMill. It's 100-pound cardstock. I don't know what that is in GSM. I'm sorry, I work in pound. I'm Canadian. So it's a very heavyweight cardstock. And the paper in this journal is not anywhere near any kind of thickness that I would normally work with. But I figured for my first journal, it was probably a good way to get a trial and error situation. And I do know that this is a popular journal, like in the bullet journaling world. So I kind of just am going with that, and we're gonna see how this goes, because I don't know what I'm doing. So for my first official spread in the 2024 journal, I wanted to do kind of a yearly. I'm not gonna give it a title. This is just a yearly spread. It's got every month in it. I don't know if I'm gonna fit 12 months in this journal. I have no idea at this point, because again, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. But I wanted to lay out the whole year at an easy glance, so that I could write out holidays and whatnot. I have seen that a lot of people, at least in this kind of industry, at least all of the YouTubers that I watch doing these journals, they start their week on a Monday, which, you know, again, since this is your journal, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. I did not. I started mine on a Sunday. I work in the healthcare industry. I work shift work. I work, 7 days a week. I don't work 7 days a week, but the shifts run 7 days a week. So with that, I just started my week as a calendar is laid out, so that it's easy for me to, just follow along with the yearly calendar. But of course, if you want to start on a Monday, you absolutely can. It's just that doesn't make any sense for me, so I didn't. I started it on a Sunday. And I kind of wanted these to look like little calendars. So I got the little corner on the bottom rolled up. Some of them have a little top corner rolled up just because I thought that was super cute. And it was really easy to add. So it gave it just a little bit of extra decoration without, being difficult to add to it. And you can see my pencil lines. I sat beside my husband on the couch for probably, I don't even know, I think it took me two full nights to do all the spreads out the way I wanted them done. So that would have been, easily 4 hours a night, because I went back and forth. I couldn't get the spacing right. I got frustrated. I made him count the spacing so that I get it right, and it's still not right. But at the end of the day, I decided that didn't matter. I just wanted to do it, because you guys know, if you have ever wanted to get better at something, practice is where it's at, and waiting for perfection, it's just never going to happen. So I'm just going to be content with what I created and be happy with it. And I did use a black, this is a PaperMate Ink Joy 0.05 or an 0.5, I guess. And I used that for all of the black lettering on all of the spreads. And then when we jump into actually laying out January, I'm going to change my color. But for all of this, that's what I used. And I didn't realize that it took a little while to dry. So I am going to smear it a bunch of times, because I didn't know, right? Again, it's learning. I would put my hand through it, or I got a little excited and I wanted to erase the pencil lines, and I couldn't, because then I started smearing the ink all over the place. So this was a test of patience as well. By the end of filming all of this, I was so creatively exhausted that I couldn't even. I just had to take a step away, because it was just I had no idea what I was going to do for decoration, right? Like, I laid them out in a way that they would be easy to use and easy to see, and I knew I wanted to add some kind of decoration, but I had no idea what. And I want extra space for planning, so decoration really took a back seat for this. It's not the most important thing for me, though I am going to bring some in because I do want it to be pretty. It wasn't the most important part of this. So I did go through and kind of added random decoration later. Like here, I'm going to bring in, this is just a purple Tombow marker. It is the 620 is the color number. And I just am going to add it on every second line under the calendar so that I can kind of have definition there. And honestly, doing these lines straight is really difficult. I watch a fair amount of bullet journaling videos, and they make it look so easy when they just go across the page and do these really straight lines. And you do have the dot grid to kind of help you, but it's actually kind of difficult. So it's just kind of funny. Like, I mean, I guess that's the sign of someone who's doing really good at what they're doing, because they make it look simple. And then you go to try to do it and it's like, holy moly, this is not what you thought it was going to be, because it was way more difficult. And then I brought in a gray Tombow marker. This is the N52, and I'm just going to add a drop shadow to my calendar so they look even more realistic. I wanted them to just have a little bit of dimension, and this is a super easy way to give them dimension. I did forget to add dimension to the little rolled up part of my calendar. Excuse me. So I'm going to add that later, but you guys won't see that in this part because honestly, I didn't even realize it until I was going to take pictures of my finished video and then my finished journal, and then was like, oh, hold on, that would also be casting a shadow. And I do tend towards a light source in the top left corner. That's kind of my preferred. That's why all of my shadowing is following to the bottom right. There is no need for that. You can literally just add shadow wherever it makes you happy and you like what you're creating, but that's just what I was thinking when I made this. And then I wanted to add a little more color with some washi tapes. I have no idea where these washi tapes are from. They've been in my collection for a while. I think someone gave them to me, and they're just these cool kind of pale colors, and I just wanted to add them. So I added a couple of blue ones and a couple of pink ones just because they went really well with that kind of purple color that I already have going on. And that's really all I did. Oh, I will add a couple of gold sparkles as well. I did add a couple of little clusters of the gold sparkles that I'm kind of repeating that from the cover page. But that's pretty much this whole spread. And for this one, I really want to kind of just write down important details and events. So really it's going to be like holidays, birthdays, that kind of stuff. Not that there's a ton of space there, but I think there's enough for me to work with what I need. And then that's kind of all I did for this spread. I think it turned out really cute considering I had no idea what the heck I was going to do for decoration. But I love the kind of pastel-y colors that ended up going on in that page. So I think it turned out really pretty. And then for my next page, okay, I, at this time, have no intention of creating a reading journal. However, I read avidly. In a year, I probably read close to 100 books. And I really wanted a place where I could track them because I purchase all of my books. I like to support the authors. That's kind of my jam. And I like to reread them because once I've purchased a book, I want to get my money's worth. So I do tend to reread novels, and I do tend towards series of novels. I prefer generally fantasy or sci-fi depending, but I am very into the fantasy series, and I love series of novels. So I wanted to be able to track them so that when I wanted to go and reread them, I would remember when I had read it last. So if there was a new book out in that series or something like that, I could easily, be ready to reread it. As like right now, I'm reading a series that a new book actually comes out in the series on the 26th of December. So I've just started rereading the series because there's 4 books before the book that's about to come out, and I want to remember where it was because the last time I read it was like July of 2022. And so I want to kind of familiarize myself with the world and everything that's going on again. So I like to reread books that I own. And I really want to just keep an idea of where I'm at with those books. But like I said, I have no intention at this time of creating a book journal just because I read so many books. So the idea of like creating beautiful spreads for 100 books in a year, that seems overwhelming. I don't know. It's not that you couldn't do it. And I know that there are YouTubers who do, and their stuff is stunning. But at this time, that's not something I can commit to. So I have no intention of that. But who knows? Future me may change my mind. You never know. It's just at this time, this is kind of my answer to wanting to be able to keep an eye on what I've read, when I've read it, how long ago I read it. And I'm not rating the books. I just really want to remember the title of the book, the author of the book, and when I finished it. I did finish instead of like started and finished, because when I did started and finished, I have a little like notes app on my phone, and I kind of write down my thoughts about the book on it. And usually I give it, I might give it a rating if I feel the need to, and then I'll write my end date. But when I used to do start date and end date, I found that I was erasing myself. And if I didn't read for a week because I was just super busy, I was like berating myself because it was like, well, why didn't you do this? So I've stopped doing that. Now I just write when I finished it, because that's the only information I really need, just for when I want to reread the book. I know when the last time I read it was, so that I can be like, oh wow, I haven't read this series in 2 years and I love this series. I'm going to go and revisit it. So that kind of thing. So that's what I mean when I say that this book, this journal, is very to what I need from it and nothing else. You won't find, I did a little like one habit tracker in my January sped up, just because there's like one habit that I actually want to track, because as a general rule, I'm not too bad at doing the things that I want to do. So I don't feel the need to kind of track them. And I didn't do a budget tracker because I don't feel I need that. Like, it's just that kind of stuff. Like this style of creating your journal or scheduling is very personal. So you can make it anything you want it to be, and you don't have to put anything in it that doesn't need to be there for you. It's just really wonderful that way. So that is kind of, I just thought it was funny because I was watching so many videos and I was like, oh, there's so many trackers and so many things. And I'm like, I don't need any of that. And that's a little bit overwhelming. So, make it your own. And it can be whatever you want it to be. So as you can see, this is pretty simple. I used that same gray and purple Tombow markers that I used before, the N52 for the gray and the 620 for the purple, and I just filled in the little bubble lettering that I made for the title of this, and then I just did a line around the page to kind of, give it a little border. I like borders, so I tend towards that. And then for the shadowing on this, I used the purple Tombow marker. You can't really see it here, but I can see it in person, and it just adds a little bit of subtle shadowing, and it just looks kind of pretty. So I'm happy with it, and at the end of the day, that's kind of the point. And then for this, I did bring in a little bit of washi tape just to kind of decorate the page a little more. I put it in kind of the top left and right corner, just little pieces of washi tape. The butterfly washi tape is from 49th and Market. It's a vintage Artistry set. And then again, that's the same little pink and blue washi tape I used on the first page that I have no idea where it came from. So I can't link to that because I don't know. And then I did put in those little stars as well. I did 3 little clusters across the page just because I like uneven numbers. I find that they generally look really pretty, so I kind of like that. And then we're going to kind of jump into the next spread, which again is very, to me, this whole one is, I'll stop saying that because this whole journal was made by me, so it's going to be very my style of thing, but I kind of love how I'm really excited to use this, you guys. I can't even tell you, when I finished making this, I was like, oh, I can go start using it, and then I was like, no, you can't, you have to take pictures. Like, no, you can't, you have to wait, it's not 2024 yet, leave it alone. So it's just kind of funny. So for this next spread, I did a pen pal tracker. If you're new to my channel, I love to write pen pal letters. I love receiving mail. Mail has to be one of my favorite things in the world. There's just something about getting a letter or whatever, a postcard or whatever in the mail from somebody. And so I love to pen pal. And I don't actually even know how many pen pals I have. That's why I'm making a tracker, because it'll be like some are only able to write maybe once or twice a year. Some write, every month. So it's just, I don't actually know how many people I write with, because the letter shows up, I respond to it, and I send a letter back. Like, there's nothing kind of keeping an eye on that. So I like to, if one of my pen pals kind of stops writing for a long period of time, I like to send them a card and just be like, hey, like, I hope everything's okay, and if they've decided they've moved on from pen paling, that's perfectly okay. Like, I'm not here to force people to do things. It's just that I want to check in, because maybe they're going through something, and maybe that card would mean something, so I want to keep kind of an eye, not on them so much, just on how often I'm responding, because sometimes I'm bad. Like if I get busy and I set a letter aside, sometimes I forget and it takes me a few months to write back, and then I feel like a jerk because, you know, somebody's waiting on the other end for that. So this is just to kind of keep me a little more accountable, and so that I can keep an eye on kind of when letters are coming in and out, so that if somebody doesn't write for a while, I can kind of reach out and just check in and make sure that they're doing okay. So that's kind of my thought with this spread. I am going to go back in with that purple marker again, so you can see that this is again very functional and less decorational, because I again wanted more space to track. I did 5 boxes split into halves, so I have 10 boxes, so that gives me 20 slots to write out the pen pals, because I am going to do like name. I want to do their name and their address, and if there's room, because I did leave 6 lines, I should be able to also put their birthday. And then I also wanted to put when their letter came in and when I responded. Likely it will mostly be like the month. I don't need an exact date. Like if their letter comes in January and I respond in January, well then I just write that, right? Or, you know, it came in January and I responded in February, something like that. Like I don't need like the date that it came in, but I want to know what month it came in. And this is assuming, of course, that this is all happening in 2024. Otherwise, I probably would write like December 2023 and I responded in January of 2024, that kind of thing. But that is what I did with this. And here you can see I'm just sectioning these off. And now I'm intentionally letting the pen skip. I lift it from the page. I like that look. It just gives it a more whimsical feel, I think. And that's very intentional, because I don't want perfectly straight lines. You absolutely can, if that's something that's important to you, bust out your ruler and, you know, you can do that. Lots of people do, no big problem. But for me, it's almost too much pressure. Like I want this to just be a safe, fun space. I don't want to worry about whether or not my lines are straight. I don't want to worry about, you know, if my pen skipped or that one's a little squiggly. Like, so if you're aiming for perfection, it's a little harder to be okay when you don't hit it. Whereas if you're not aiming for that, you kind of give yourself that freedom to let it be whatever it is. You know, like you don't have to control it as much. So I just want this to be a really fun, pretty space that I can, you know, kind of just work in and enjoy. So that is kind of my goal with my tracker here, or all of my pages. So this next one, it's 24 new things to try in 2024. I didn't put try. This is specifically from Jess. I believe her channel is Jashi. All the channels that I got inspiration from, I'll leave a link to them down below so you guys can check them out if you don't know who they are. There's some phenomenal creators in there. So if you're new to bullet journaling or you love bullet journaling and you haven't heard of these people, go and check them out, because the inspiration is just astounding. So I will leave a list of them down below so you can check them out. But this one specifically, her name is Jess, and she came up with this really cool idea. At least I think she came it up. She's who I saw it from first. I don't know where it originated. And it was just new things that you could try in 2024. So of course you could do, like last year, could do 23 things in 2024. I'm going to try it for this year because obviously it's 2024. And I just came up with a list of random 24 items that I thought would be interesting to try, and they're all things that I've never done before, so that I could be kind of fun. So obviously they would be things like my first one is try a new recipe. Well, obviously I've cooked before, but I want to go out of my way and find some kind of really fun recipe that I've never done and try it, because I do kind of get stuck into making the same thing over and over because I know how and it's comfortable and we're busy, you know. So although I can't talk, my husband does most of the cooking because he loves to cook. But when I cook, I kind of just make the same, 5 or 6 things, and it would be fun to try different things. And then on the second spread, I have a doodling page. My goal in 2024 is to really focus on drawing more. And that kind of ties into my new things in 2024 as well. But so I made this doodling spread, and there's nothing there because I obviously want to doodle in it. And this just gives me a fun space that every whatever, when I've got my journal and I'm filling something out, I can go over and I'll just doodle something. It doesn't matter what it is. You can draw lines or squiggles or flowers or hearts or whatever. you know, but that gives me that space to kind of just make that effort and make it easy because it's right there. So when I'm going to check off something on my 2024 list, I can easily go and doodle something as well, right? So that makes that freedom there. So for my 24 things, I'll read them to you guys so you guys can see them, because I don't think you can probably read them from how my hand is in the way. So I have try a new recipe, finish a Skillshare class because I suck at finishing those classes, sell at a in-person market, go to a yoga class. This is obviously in person as well. Go to a yoga class, have 50 items listed in my Etsy shop because I'm really bad at that, because I have a sticker shop, if you didn't know, a really small one. I started early last year, and I've been struggling to draw new things to make stickers. So again, that's where it like circles back to drawing more this year. Make homemade soup, because I've never done that and I've always wanted to. Play a new video game, because I love video games. Go out for a meal alone. Complete a full prompt list. So that would be like Drawtober or Inktober, whatever, or, you know, like Mermay or one of those, whatever prompt list. But I want to actually sit down and finish a whole list because I've never done it. Go antique shopping. Make homemade candles. Try a new tea. Use a full 12 by 12 paper pad. If you're from the scrapbooking world or that kind of crafting world, you'll know how hard it can be to part with 12 by 12 paper because it's so beautiful. And so I really want to try my hand at actually using it. And I have some goals to make some journals, like handmade journals this year. They might be art journals or junk journals. I don't know yet, but so I'm hoping to, you know, actually complete a pad. Draw an abstract sticker sheet. Make handmade paper. Teach a card making class. This is also in person. Create a journal from scratch. Read a book from a new genre, because I tend towards the same genre. I don't usually branch out because I love it. And my mom and I have this little book club. So it's just her and me, and we read whatever book we're reading, and then we kind of usually discuss it. So it would be kind of fun to read a mystery maybe, or something different, because I do tend towards just fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi. Go for a jog. Design and create a washi tape. Make a 3D project. Create a painting. Go to an in-person art class, and start a Patreon. So Patreon was actually something I wanted to try to do in 2024. I don't know if it's gonna pan, as I really need to get my schniznit together and start drawing more so that I can have more designs in my little sticker shop. But that is my list of things to try, because they are things that I've wanted to do for a long time and haven't, or things that I really think that I want to achieve this year. So I'm just trying to make it, like, if I put it on paper, maybe it'll come to fruition. And there are some on there that are obviously very simple, like drinking a new tea, because I don't want everything on there to be difficult to achieve, because I don't want to feel like I'm setting myself up for failure without even getting a chance to try, right? I think that's really important. So I did specifically make them items that there are some that are, you know, more difficult, some that might be a little bit anxiety inducing, some that are a little stressful, and then some that are simple and fun and easy. I really wanted a mix of both. And again, this is just fun. So if I don't, you know, I would be happy if I managed to do 12 of my 24 items. You know, like, it doesn't have to be all complete, but it was just something that I'd like to try. And then here's where I went back and added just a little bit of washi tape to my cover page, because it had nothing and it looked a little bare. And at this point I knew what direct decorations I had added. So I really wanted to kind of add a little more there. So now we're going to jump into January. I chose to use the left page as a cover quote kind of page. And my quote is, I don't know who it's from, that's why it doesn't have a name. It just, everywhere I found it, it just said unknown, so I don't know who said that. So if you know, let me know so I can add the name in. But every year you make a resolution to change yourself. This year, make a resolution to be yourself. And I just thought that that was really fitting. At the end of the day, you know, we are all our own person. And I think that we all, you know, have something beautiful and great to contribute. And not that I make resolutions, I generally don't. I'm more of a goal setter than a resolution setter, because I find resolutions that I've heard people make are usually unrealistic. And so when they don't manage to actually make it happen, you know, there's that like sadness with resolutions. And I think resolutions kind of got a bad name because people make unachievable resolutions and then are mad when it doesn't work, you know. So I don't want to be one of those people, so I tend not to make resolutions. I tend to make goals, and then I make actionable steps towards those goals. So that's kind of my take on that. I did bring in a little piece of black and white washi tape. This is going to show up throughout the January spread. You can see here I put a couple of more pieces down. And then I'm going to write I hand wrote my January title. I'm going to use brown for all of the spreads in January. I just felt that it really went with this pretty door. This pretty door is actually from a piece of 12, like a pattern paper. I fussy cut it out so that it could be in my journal because it's stunning. It's by Alchemy of Art. Alchemy of Art, I'm pretty sure. They have some stunning papers. Like they're just, and I really thought it was just a pretty thing that was kind of, I don't know, like one door closes, one door opens. It was just kind of one of those things where it was like, this is something new, and a kind of a doorway just kind of represented that, and I just felt that it was really fitting. So that is what I went with. Simple decoration. I added a little bit of that black and white washi tape, which is from the same set as the butterflies one that I used in the setup for the spreads that I did for the 2024 spread up. And then just a little bit of old book page that I had kind of in my stash. And then we're going to jump right into the full-on January spreads. Now, I chose to, I believe it's called a Dutch door. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I chose to cut the pages down because this way I didn't have to decorate 5 pages. It's pretty, it's fun, and it made it so I didn't have to come up with a lot more decoration when I filmed all of this in one day. And so I just, at this, I was starting to get a little creative out. So I just wanted it to be easy and pretty and simple. So I cut out these little smaller doors. There's 2 doors. One's going to go on the front of my January spread and one's going to go on the last page of the January spread so that you kind of get to look at both of them. But I just thought they were really pretty. And then you're going to see me cut. So I had to cut, I believe it's 4 pages because January falls across for 5 weeks, technically, if you count the last 4 days, is 1 week. So I chose to do this, and then of course the last spread will be a full page as well. So this was just easier for me. I chose to do a January calendar up in the top left corner so that I could easily look at the month just as a whole, and I kind of did that little calendar look again with the like where the calendar page is lifting, like I did in the front of the yearly spread, just because I thought it was cute, and why not? I may honestly do that on every one of them. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I just thought it was really pretty. And this is where I'm actually using a PaperMate Brown Ink Joy pen, and this is in 0.7 instead of the 0.5, which was my black that I used for the rest. I am going to use that same gray Tombow marker, but I'm going to bring in a pink one instead for the layouts because I used purple in the beginning. I'm going to use pink in this one, and it's 761, just so you know the number. And again, I'm going to start my weeks on a Sunday because that just makes more sense to me. I don't know if is it a European thing to start your week on a Monday? Is that because a lot of the people that I watch doing bullet journal videos, a lot of them are, I believe, European, so or like Australian, or they're from the other hemisphere than me. So I was just curious, do you start your weeks normally on a Monday? Like, is that a normal thing for you guys? I understand why, but it makes no sense for me as I work at my regular job Sundays and Saturdays. So to me, like, it just makes sense to start the week as a Sunday because that's what the regular calendar is. But I was just curious if there's like kind of a reason that I saw a lot of people starting their calendars on a Monday, because I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe it's not in North America. Maybe starting it on a Sunday, the North American thing. I'm not sure, but... And then I used a slightly thinner pen for the lines. It's still a brown shade, but it's just like a thinner pen, and I believe it's a Staedtler Fineliner. I don't know if I said that correctly. And then I'm just going to kind of create the lines on every page. Now, again, like I said, they are not perfectly laid out. I tried to measure everything, but mistakes were made, and then I'm not going to turn around and correct this. First of all, this is cream paper, not white paper. I have nothing to fix cream paper. I could fix white paper and make it look like there was no mistakes, but cream paper, I don't have any fixes for that. So I'm just going to leave the mistakes and be okay with it. Because again, like I said, I want this to just be a fun and safe and creative space that doesn't need to be perfect. Like my lines aren't, mind you, I'm not trying to make straight lines. So let me preface that. I mean, my lines aren't straight. I'm not trying to make them straight. I'm just making them lines. And I do find it easier to pull the pen towards me to at least be somewhat straight. I'm intentionally not, they're not like wavy lines. They're just not perfectly straight lines. And I'm okay with that. And I am going to go and write in the numbers of the day and the day of the week. I'm not going to show you every one because I think you get what I'm doing here, but I did go through all of the pages and do that, and it was fun. I know some people that I've watched, kind of say that it's tedious to kind of fill the repetitive things out, but I just found it kind of relaxing and entertaining. So I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I enjoyed it. But I did leave a little section in the back for just random thoughts if I had any that I needed to write down. Really, it's kind of like notes, but not quite, because I have a notes section for each week. The thoughts were more if it was something that wasn't really related to this month that I needed to remember. I don't know if I'll use that section or not, but I thought it would be useful to have there. And then you can see in the bottom right corner, I have like another little calendar. This is where I'm going to mark if I've drawn daily or not. So this is my one little like habit tracker style thing. That's the only one in this whole thing. I mean, habit trackers is really if you're trying to introduce new habits you're struggling with, or if you forget to do the ones that you need to. So like I've seen people have like vitamins and that kind of stuff. I don't forget to do those things. So, or, like make your bed every day. I don't forget to do those things. So I don't feel like it would be that useful to me. However, I am trying to make drawing a habit, like a daily habit. So this is where that tracker kind of comes into play for me. And it's just like I made it fit. I mean, you could have done it the same way I did the spread, like in the top left corner, but I chose to make it more like a fitted to the boxes situation, because I'll probably just use like a highlighter and color in the days that I actually remember to draw. But again, hey, I can flip to the little doodle, and nothing says that I have to draw for an hour or anything. It's just to actively make the effort to draw. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's more getting into the repetition of doing it rather than, worrying about it and forgetting, because I will be like, okay, today I'm going to draw. And then the day gets away from me because I have so many other things to do and I don't do it. So I'm trying to actively make it a priority. So it's kind of what that little, like that tiny habit tracker is, because now I'm going to look at it. Because if I go into my journal and I look at my week, I'd be like, oh yeah, I didn't draw today. Let's flip over to my Doodle page and draw for a few minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of trying, and now the Doodle page might not be big enough for a whole year. I didn't know. I didn't know if I needed to make it a few pages or one page, but I felt like it would be pretty easy to add a tuck in if I needed to, which would just be like, I could take a page out of somewhere else and then stick it in and just have it like washi taped so I could flip it to the page if I needed to. So that's what I'm going to do if there's not enough room for books or a pen pal as well, because I'll just add like a little page to it and kind of make that the way I do this. And then there is that pink marker I was talking about. That is the 761. That's the color. And then I used the gray marker that I used for all of the shading, which was the N52. And I just highlighted kind of the second line. This is honestly just to add a little bit of interest to the page. And this is where I realized how much I was not having fun drawing the lines on the page anymore. I don't know what it was. I think it was just how I was holding this marker. I just couldn't quite get them. Like the pink ones look pretty good, but the gray ones were a bit, they're not great, but that's okay. Like again, it's my first journal. So I'm actually pretty excited with how this whole thing turned out. So that is more important than it being perfect. So I am going to show you a quick look at all of the pages that I made in this video. It was a long one. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for sticking this with me. This was a longer video, but I didn't want to delay putting up the January setup because I'm already a bit late getting this video up. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Hopefully you liked my little creative video here and you'll consider subscribing. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and yeah, come and hang out with me again. I do new videos every Monday, and Thursday. And now there will be every month a bullet journal setup, or not a setup, I guess, just a spread setup as we go through the year and kind of see how I'm going to actually use the journal. But that is everything I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you, and I will see you again on Monday. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great day. Bye-bye for now.